I love that little voice. All right. So yeah, if anybody's any technical problems, like if you can't hear me, let me know. So I'm Christy. Thanks for being here, you guys. Yeah. So everybody's got their cameras off. That's cool. You can, do whatever feels right. I'm really going to do this more as a bit of a talk about yoga and the chakras, because there's a lot of background to understand. And I have said this in the couple of videos that I've done. I do not claim to have any particular expertise when it comes to the chakras, or chakras. I slip in and out of pronunciations. The Sanskrit pronunciation is more like chakra. So it's a U sound instead of an A sound for the chakras. Any way you want to say it, whatever feels comfortable is fine. And the chakras are chakras. My yoga teacher was so adamant that we made it said it correctly. They are energy systems within the body. So in this sense, I'm sure you guys all already have some sense of them. So the so really mostly what we talk about is the 7 major chakras. Some people say they're 12, some people say they're more. Some of them are, more like in the astral plane outside your body. They can get very esoteric. And so I, approach it, I try to make everything very practical. And so a lot of this for me, I'm digesting the information. I've had to go back and pull out every book on yoga I have and try to make sense of, how different people talk about them. So some of it I take with a heavy dose of skepticism. And one of the books that I have talks about the chakras being both real and symbolic. So sometimes I think that it's just a great way to focus our minds, is to use the chakras as, a mental focus. So we'll kind of go through some of that, but let's just begin, as I usually like to, with a breath. And observe, how are you today? So what's the energy like in your body? So not just are you, awake and alert in this moment, are you hitting your afternoon slump, but really what are the sensations in the body? So when you start to focus in, like right now, like my mind is feeling, I can feel tingling in my fingers. So as you start to pay attention to the body, you might start to feel tingling. So if you just ran, you exerted yourself, you get that tingling sensation becomes more pronounced. We've shifted the energy in the body. But there are all these little energy points in the body. There's always little sensations going on that we're not always conscious of. And then let's just give a little stretch up. So we're trying to shift energy somewhat in the spine just by moving our bodies. So lengthening up, I keep forgetting a background on my arms keep disappearing. So we're just going to lift arms up, and then let's do a little twist of the spine. We're going to let the arms come down and just shift. It doesn't have to be a big twist. Just turn your body to one side or the other. Either one will do. Lengthen up your spine, soften your abdomen. And then back to center, and we're going to twist to the other side. Take a big breath. And then back to center. Okay, let's do our next two. So just drop your chin down towards your chest. Take a breath. And then we're going to let our heads come back up to center. And then turn to look out over one shoulder. So just turning your head to the side. And then back to center. And we're going to turn our heads to the opposite side. And back to center again. Good. Take another breath. So breathing, movement. These are 2 ways that we shift the energy. So it's very complex. I'm really learning as I go along with you. So I meant to say a big thank you to Connor and Emily for creating this concept of the 7 Chakra Yoga Club. I think it's a great thing. So we're getting a little bit deeper into the yoga practice. So I'm going to share with you. Oh, it's like I forgot how to share. Okay, I usually hate PowerPoints, but they do come in handy. So if you can't see that, give a shout out, because now I'm like, this is the first time I've had to do this on Zoom. So this month we're talking about the root chakra, Muladhara chakra. So some people spell it different ways. So this one, I've spelled it with the double O. Sometimes it's spelled with a U. So you'll see that. But first we're going to talk, all right, a little basic of the 7 major chakras. So they're energy centers that run along the spine, from the tailbone up through the throat into the third eye. So if you think about the third eye, it connects really with where the spine connects to the skull. So it's kind of in line with that spot. And then the crown chakra really is the top of the head, where again, like sort of in line with your spine. So it's that, when babies have that little soft spot, it's really that spot at the top of the head is where the crown chakra is. So the chakras represent a link between the spiritual and the physical. So yoga is really a spiritual practice. It gets very deep, into karmas and reincarnation. And so the karmas we create in this life, the cause and effect, the things that we do that then have ramifications that they carry over into our next lives. And so again, you can either believe that or not believe that, take what's useful for you. And the thought about the chakras is that when the energy is blocked, and so one of these 7 major energy centers or anywhere in the body, that when the energy is blocked, this causes illness, it creates unbalance just in our, sense of being, and that it can affect all areas of your life. So we know that when we're not feeling well, at least I can speak for myself, when I'm ill, I can be pretty grumpy. So that can affect different aspects of our lives, right? So the energy that we're putting out when we're not well affects, different aspects of our life. And so the thought is that balancing these energy centers promotes good health and movement along the path to enlightenment, which is the ultimate goal really of yoga. So that by, balancing all of these energy centers along the spine, we get to a state of, really perfect health and a sense of bliss. So in the mind and in the body, just getting to this bliss state. So a bit of a lofty goal and a lot to digest. But that's the basic concept. We're going to talk a little bit, I'm going to try not to be too boring and belabored about this, but we're going to talk a little bit about what yoga is. So there is one of the ancient texts is the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And so one of the first sutras, which are these little threads of knowledge, is, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this correctly, Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So Chitta is mind, Vritti means whirlpool, and Nirodha means cessation or stopping. So it's stopping the chatter in the mind. So it's being able to have this single pointed focus in the mind. So that is when we get to the state of yoga, that we get to this state of, really having control over our minds, that we're not just, so we talk about the monkey mind sometimes in yoga, that right, our minds just bounce from one thing to the next, right? We have all these thoughts and we're like, oh wait, I need to come back to that. I'm totally guilty of that. So that the practice of yoga is helping us to really have control over our bodies and ultimately control over our minds, which creates more happiness. There are 8 different what we call limbs of yoga. And so just like the chakras are this stepping stone to enlightenment, this whole way of living your life along the yogic path is helping you to live not just a happier life. A lot of the ancient thoughts are just about life being full of suffering, which certainly, more suffering, obviously, before there was modern medicine and, central heating and that kind of thing. So that there are all these challenges in life, and the path to yoga is trying to overcome a lot of those difficulties. So the yamas are one of the 8 limbs of yoga. There are restraints, so not doing any harm. Ahimsa, Gandhi made that word term pretty well known as nonviolence, but it really is beyond that. It's doing no harm. So no harm to yourself, no harm to others, which comes down even to your thoughts about, not having, thoughts that cause you harm or cause others harm. These are all the basic, tenets of, I think, any religion: truthfulness, non-greediness, self-restraint, non-greed, non-hoarding. And that by living your life in this way, you're going to have less chatter in your mind, right? You're going to have just a calmer sense of your mind. All right, somebody's got their mic on. If you guys can all mute yourselves. And then the niyamas are observances, cleanliness in all aspects of life. So in your body, in your diet, in your home. And there are a lot of really bizarre traditional practices for cleansing the body, of taking in salt water into your stomach and churning it around and spitting it back out. And so there are a lot of interesting things like that in the yoga practice. So contentment and gratitude, again, just about, sort of mindset, self-discipline, self-study. So really all of yoga is self-study, selfless action. And then we get to asana, which is the physical practice, which is what most people in modern day think of as yoga, is, the poses, the movement, which helps us with discipline, patience, self-study. And it also helps us to shift energy within the body. So it helps us in balancing these energy centers because we're releasing out our stress and our tensions. Pranayama, breathing exercises. So that's another limb of yoga. Pratyahara and dharana. Dharana, again, I don't know that I've got these pronunciations straight. Withdrawing the senses and single pointed awareness. To me, this is, and I'm not sure that, again, that I'm correct about this, but to me, this is what we commonly call meditation. In meditation practice, we're pulling back from, the sounds around us, all the chaos that's going on around us. We're trying to pull inward a little bit more and working on this single focus of the mind rather than the thoughts bouncing around. And then dhyana, so the way it's described here, it's a calm and quiet mind with keen awareness, basically of everything, being able to have this complete consciousness of all the things around you without being focused on any particular thing. So to me, that's more of a meditative state than, what we think of as a meditation practice. And then the final limb is samadhi. So this is really the attainment of all the other previous 7 steps, is that we're getting to this state of enlightenment where our mind is completely calm, where we're able to take in, all of this, awareness of all the things around us. So the really practiced, the yoga masters do tend to be very psychic. I've heard a lot of stories, I've read a lot of things, about that these yoga masters, really, they have just this ridiculous awareness, they know what's going on with people. So it's very interesting to me. So that's the ultimate, end goal of yoga, is to try to get to this state of bliss where we're transcending suffering. So all of this yoga practice is going to help us shift energy, create balance in our mind and our body and in our spirit, and transcend suffering, much of which just comes from our thoughts. We put so much pressure on ourselves That's how I tend to think of it, is that we really stress ourselves out. So it's really all about how we perceive things. And when we have greater control of the mind, we can move past some of that stress and suffering. All right, let's take another breath. All right, I haven't lost you guys already. Let's stretch our arms up overhead. Take another breath. Good. Lengthen up the spine. Let's do a little forward fold here. So we're just going to try to move our bodies. I'm trying to give you this little bit of background on. Oh, can you see me at all here? All right, so I'm going to try to shift back here in my chair. I'll get rid of my background. Okay, so just with your feet on the floor, hands on your legs, we're going to lean forward. If you want to stand and do a forward fold, feel free to stand up. You still might, can you guys even see me at all? Let me get rid of my back. Let me get rid of my background here. You'll be able to see me here. All right, so a little forward fold. There we go, it's a little bit better. So your knees can bend here. We're just gonna fold. Here we are, we're lengthening the spine, we're lengthening our legs. We're shifting our whole perspective on life by letting our head drop down. Seeing the world upside down. And then we're just going to come back up. So we're going to do a little meditation today. I'm going to try to make this somewhat pleasurable and not just all filling your head with things that I find confusing. All right, so you guys have probably heard too about Kundalini energy. There is also Kundalini yoga. Kundalini yoga. So a lot of Kundalini yoga is all of this, like it's, these repetitive kinds of movements with the breath. So for anybody who's done Kundalini, right, you do this like 1,000 times. It's not really 1,000, but it's like 50 times. You go back and forth. So again, it's this shifting energy. We're going to change the energy in our bodies. We have to think about it as like the whirling dervishes, right, who get into that trance-like state from moving their bodies. So the Kundalini energy is said to reside at the base of the spine, in the tailbone. But one of the things I read during my research was that the Buddhists believe that Kundalini resides more in the solar plexus. So you may find your own personal belief about that. So it's said to be our untapped potential is residing in the base of the spine, or you may feel more like it's like the Buddhist, that it's more in somewhere else, in some other part of the body, in the solar plexus or somewhere else. But it's this concept of our untapped potential. So again, when our chakras aren't spinning properly, when our energy is all out of balance, we're not living to our full potential. And so when we balance the chakras, we get them spinning. So they do say it's these spinning wheels of energy that can either go too fast or too slow. We're trying to get them into a balanced state. And then when that happens, then the Kundalini energy rises up and comes up, all the way up the spine to the crown chakra. So again, it's this path to enlightenment. Yeah. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. Okay, so here's where it gets a little more fun, I think. So the 7 chakras also people have different thoughts about this, seem to correspond to these nerve ganglia in the body. So you can see in this image that there are these clusters of nerves that really branch out from the spine. And when some people talk about the chakras, they'll talk about the energy sort of moving forward in the body from the spine, or some people talk about it being this sort of cone-like shape that comes out from the spine. So for me, it kind of makes sense to me to look at this image of the nerves branching out of the spine and then, branching out further into these clusters of nerves. So to me, that also, they also talk about it like flowering outward, so that this energy comes off of our spine, but isn't just on the spine, that it moves forward into the body. And so that seems to somewhat correspond with where the 7 major chakras are. So there are said to be different qualities that correspond to the chakras. And this is where, I really am curious. I'm not really sure what I think about this. So the root chakra, which is obviously in the physical body, this is, the root of our tailbone. It's the stability of our spines when we're seated, especially if you're sitting on the ground. This is the base of your body. So where it gives us some security. But what I'm really curious about is what's this connection, so to our emotions, so our sense of security, somewhat it's just in that physical sense of, do we have enough to eat? Do we have shelter? Are we physically taken care of? But that's also very emotional. So is there really a literal connection between that root chakra, that energy at the base of our spines, and that emotion, whether we're feeling steady and secure or not? That's the big question in my mind. Is that like a literal connection, or is this more symbolic, and that focusing on feeling grounded in that energy center? Do we feel more grounded, right? So is it more the mind? Is it more the body here? I don't know. If anybody has an exact experience and an answer, let me know. All right, so that's what we're going to focus on this month, is root chakra. But just moving upwards, so then each chakra moves up. So we go into the sacrum, and so again, these all kind of begin along the spine and move forward. So, and people will give you different attributes for each chakra, but the sacral chakra is said to be your ability to move forward, letting go of what you no longer need. And so this has to do, I didn't put all the elements in here. This is the water element. So part of it is being able to adapt and go with the flow. And then we move up to the solar plexus, which is said to be connected to inner strength, self-esteem, self-confidence, courage, and ambition. And then the heart chakra is associated with joy, gratitude, self-acceptance, and compassion. And so each one has a different color too that relates to it. Throat chakra, self-expression, which makes sense. But again, is that more just, that's what's logical in our minds, is that the throat is this center of self-expression. Third eye, clarity, intuition, imagination, insight. Crown chakra, so top of the head. And so this one I really have to research more. So Sahasrara is the crown chakra. So when it's open, that's when we attain enlightenment. And it's said to really not be a chakra in itself, but it's sort of this journey all the way up, that it's this combination of all of the chakras together. So when we get there, I'll have, researched that a little bit more and have a little more information on what that's about. But people believe, this is when I was 18, I spent some time in India and Nepal. And the time in Nepal, I spent a couple of weeks in a Buddhist monastery. And one of the things that I really remember from that time, they talked about, where our spirit leaves the body. And so the best place so if you have an injury or something and your spirit leaves through a different chakra, you may not have as high a rebirth. But if your spirit leaves through the crown chakra, which I don't really know how that happens, but if your spirit leaves through the crown chakra, I think that's when you also get out of this cycle of rebirth and death, so that we transcend into, I guess, like going to heaven rather than coming back to the earth, which is where we suffer. Okay, so for me, I've related a lot of this personally into a path to self-empowerment. Enlightenment is a very lofty goal. The more I practice yoga, the more I can sort of comprehend a little bit of that, but it's hard to imagine being at a state of enlightenment. But I think that it can be, again, sort of a symbolic path just to being empowered and living a happy life. So I've done this from the bottom up, so that the root chakra, we're finding stability. The sacral, we're letting go of self-limiting beliefs. The solar plexus, we're building self-confidence. Heart, we're finding joy and self-love. Throat, self-expression. Third eye, clarity of vision of where we're going. And that, when we get all of these things happening, that's when we can really create our dreams, that when we have these different elements. So for me, that's just how I've kind of framed it. For me personally, it'd be great if I got to enlightenment, but I'm not necessarily planning on it. So it can just be a way to think of, balancing your health, how to move forward in your life, all of this. And when you start to really focus on these concepts of yoga and the chakras, you start to think about everything being energy, which we know from science that everything is energy, so that even our thoughts are energy. And so what's the energy? So depending on how I'm feeling and how I'm taking care of myself, what's the energy that I'm then putting out into the world? How am I, either be able to be nice or not so nice based on how I'm feeling, and being able to shift that energy. I hope all this is making some kind of sense to you guys. So I think there are practical applications in life beyond just the goal of trying to reach enlightenment. Which brings us back to Muladhara Chakra. So the location of the root chakra is the tailbone. The color associated, and I'm not exactly sure why these colors are associated with each chakra. I think it's that all of these findings are really based on people's, deep meditative practices, and that these are the things that, I don't know, maybe have some similarities between different monks, that, this is what they've seemed to all find. The element is earth. The seed sound, so the mantra that is often used for the root chakra it's spelled like lam, but again, that A sounds more like a U, so it's lam. And then the emotions are stability, fight or flight, and just security. So when that root chakra is balanced, so again, this may really be more, more our emotional center than that actual base of the spine center. But when that energy is balanced, we feel a sense of safety and security. So when the rug gets ripped out from under you, you don't freak out quite as much when your root chakra is balanced. So ways to balance Muladhara Chakra. Wearing red clothing, maybe, I don't know. The one I think is funny is that I don't think I put it on here. I think that what you eat really plays a role in how you feel. So for me, again, having a balanced diet, paying attention to how you're feeling and how certain foods make you feel. So I will say my sister figured out a couple of years ago that eggs triggered panic attacks for her. I don't think that's true across the board, but this is something that she discovered, that eating eggs really caused this extreme reaction in her body, which would be very ungrounding. So she doesn't eat those anymore. So you may find, again, as you start to really pay attention to the energy in your body, you may find those connections. I stopped eating gluten. I had a whole lot of things get better. So what's your personal experience? What's helping you feel grounded? What's making you feel a little spacey? You can shift accordingly. But one of the things I read was to eat red foods. So again, maybe that's helpful. Maybe we're just focusing visually on the color red. We're connecting it, mentally with, oh, this color is helping me feel grounded. Maybe there's just some energetic connection, and we're going to play with that a little bit today. Slow, deep breathing tends to be more grounding than rapid. So if you're really feeling unenergized and you're sluggish, you might really do some deeper, more rapid breathing to wake you up. But when you're already feeling like life is out of control, slower, deeper breathing may help bring you back down a bit. So these are all based on our senses, really what I've laid out here. So what's around you? What is the energy that you're taking in? What are the sounds? Do you just need to get outside and like, hear the birds to make you feel more grounded? Touch. So touch can be asanas, movement, feeling the ground beneath your feet, like really concentrating on that sensation of the connection of your body to the earth and feeling that stability physically underneath you. So again, we're going to work a little bit with that today. I'm going to skip over mudras because I'm going to come back to it in a second. Thought. So that might be meditating on feeling grounded, maybe meditating on feeling secure, or focusing, or just kind of focusing on this feeling of being grounded and supported. So mudras are different ways to touch fingers together that, again, are said to shift the energy in your body. All right, I'm going to stop sharing this now. So Preeti mudra, again, I don't know if I got that exactly right, is your ring finger to your thumb. So touching the tips of the fingers, the skin usually, the fingers together. So you may feel like there's some little energetic current in there and you may not, but this is said to be an earth mudra. I forgot, I think maybe it's the thumb is earth. I forget what all these, I can give you more details if you want. And then you're just letting your hands rest on your lap. It can be with the palms down or the palms up, whatever feels more comfortable. This is one that I particularly like. I don't know why. For me, it does feel very calming and soothing for me. So we're just keep trying things and see what works. And each day it may be a little bit different. All right, let's take another big breath. So now we're just going to get into practicing a little bit more. All right. Okay. Yeah, let's do a hip stretch and then we'll do meditation and then we'll stretch again at the end. So if you're able to stretch your hips, I'm going to give you the choice here. Those of you who feel like you really need to get up and move around a little bit more. If I put a book on, maybe put my big book under here. You can do this in your chair, or you can try to do it balancing. All right. Oh, I need to pin myself. That's what I need to do. I can't really see myself well enough in that. Pin. Okay. Here we go. So you can do this in your chair, or you can try to do it balancing and maybe use the chair to hang on to. So if you're in your chair, you're just going to bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh and you're going to fold forward. If your knee won't move that way, try crossing knees and moving forward. Try to release a little tension out of our hips, which really is part of that root chakra. This whole, I think of the whole lower body, right? Like the upper thighs. I think this is, to me, is sort of part of that root chakra. If you can do it balancing, I'm going to hang on to my chair here. You're going to try to sit down and bring your right ankle over your left thigh and then see if you can fold forward. So you're sitting down a little bit as you're balancing. And then if you can do hands together and fold forward. So especially when you're really like, you get a lot of stagnant energy going on. For me in the afternoon, this time of day is usually when I start to really dip. So a little bit of, exertion can help with that. And then we're going to take it to the other side. So let that first side go. So again, in your chair, you're either doing ankle over, left ankle over right thigh, or cross the legs and then fold forward. If you're going to balance, ankle over thigh, you're going to try to sit down and fold forward. So we can feel that physically, right? We can feel that energy shift when we stretch out our tight muscles. We can feel it when we move around. Let's do a side bend. So we're going to come back and sit in our chairs. Take your feet a little wide. Lean your right arm on your right thigh. Turn to your left side. You can keep left hand down, or you can stretch the left arm out from the shoulder. If you can bring that arm up higher, you can reach up until you find a comfortable point. So we know that we can, most of us have had this experience of moving the body will help us to release out some of our stress, which can be also anxiety. I can't say that I don't have anxiety disorder, so I can't speak to that. Yes. Really just more that sense of general, kind of concern, worry, anxiety. To me, that's also root chakra, that's instability. But we know that, okay, we're gonna take it to the left side. So left lower arm on left leg. We're just gonna turn out to the right side. Let your right arm reach out from the shoulder, maybe come up a little bit higher. So most of us have had these experiences of when we're feeling anxious about something, we're feeling really stressed, that taking a walk, moving our bodies helps to release some of that energy out, some of that nervous, worried energy out of the body. Yes. Yes. All right, and then we're gonna have hands on thighs. We're gonna lean forward.
Okay, sounds good. Well, done.
If you're going a little lower, you can drop your hands down towards the floor. And then we're going to come up. So when we're talking about, balancing the energy, creating health and well-being, shifting the chakra energy, it's all the same things that you would think about, to take care of your health. It's moving your body. It's what your thoughts are. It's what you're eating. All that kind of usual stuff, but it's just a different way to frame it and to think about what's going on internally with your nervous system. And for me, that's really what yoga is super helpful for, is calming our nervous system, which really is on overload most of the time. Really, we talk about people being stuck in fight or flight, and that we have so much stress all the time that our nervous systems are always on high alert. And taking these, looking at this whole chakra system, I think, again, whatever you take away from it, whatever you believe about the energy system, to think about your nervous system and how different things affect just your nervous system, whether or not you think about it as chakras. I think that's the piece that we've really been missing, in all kinds of healthcare and how we take care of our physical being, is really trying to tune inward and pay attention to our nervous systems. So it'll just be interesting to see, as we progress through these 7 months, what shifts for us as we pay attention to our energy in the body, our energy centers in the body. Okay, so we're going to do a little guided meditation here. For those of you who've been to my meditations, it's going to be similar. If you came to meditation on Tuesday, this one's going to be similar to that. I made a couple of changes. So let's sit back in our chairs. If you want to do, so you may not want to do it the whole time, but if you want to start with Preeti Mudra, or if you have another one you like to do, you can just start with your ring and your thumb fingers together, and then find a comfortable place to rest your hands, and then just let your fingers relax, right? You don't need to stretch them out. You want your fingers to relax a little bit there. Take a big breath. Settle into your spot. Feel the breath flowing through your nose. And notice how your body moves as you breathe. Feel your ribs expanding and contracting. And imagine your mind and your body calming down a little bit more with each breath. So start to tune into this, like just those little subtle energy sensations in the body. But as you breathe, can you notice any little shift in that, just in that internal vibration in the body? And feel the weight of your body on what you're resting on. If your feet are touching the floor, feel that connection, that support beneath your feet. If you're on your back, you're sitting cross-legged in your chair, just feel the weight of your body supported by what you're resting on, as though the floor, the chair, whatever was pushing up into you a bit, really holding you. Feel that you are safe and secure where you are in this moment. And as you focus on that sense of being fully supported, just observe if you can feel any sensations in that root chakra. Just observe it, and taking your mind to the tailbone, trying to figure out where that is. And just imagine a sense of comfort coming from that tailbone, that root chakra. Sense of safety and stability in that lowest part of the body. And silently repeat the seed sound of Muladhara Chakra. Lum. L-U-M is the sound. Just hearing the word lum in your mind. And imagine the vibration of that sound in your body. You can imagine that sound bringing greater balance into that root chakra and bringing you a greater sense of stability. Start to picture the color red filling the lower part of the body. Red at the root chakra. And imagine that wheel of energy at the root chakra. Just imagine what that's like. Imagine that wheel of energy at the root chakra is in balance. Spinning neither too fast or too slow. And let your mind and body relax a little more with each breath. And we're going to take the mind through the body, just noticing each part of the body. And take your mind to your right hand. Observe the thumb. Just looking for the sensations in the body today. Look for the sensations in the thumb. The second finger. Third finger. fourth finger, fifth finger. Observe the sensations in the palm of the right hand and in the back of the hand. The wrist, lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder. Observe the sensations in the left hand, the thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder. Be aware of the sensations in the right foot, big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, bottom of the foot, and top of the foot, ankle, lower leg, knee, upper leg, hip. Observe the sensations in the left foot, big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, bottom of the foot, on top of the foot, ankle, lower leg, knee, upper leg, hip. Observe the sensations in the pelvis, abdomen, low back, rib cage, chest, shoulder blades, spine, tops of the shoulders, neck, throat, jaw, tongue, lips, cheeks, nose, eyes, eyebrows, forehead, scalp. Observe the sensations in the entire body. Imagine resting on a red blanket in a field of red flowers. Imagine yourself resting comfortably on a red blanket. in a field of red flowers on a beautiful day. Feel the support of the earth below you. Feel a sense of safety and security in your entire being. Picture the red flowers all around you. And try to feel the vibration of red, strong and steady, calming and supportive. The vibration of red all around you. Imagine the energy of red, strong and steady, calming and supportive. Imagine that energy flowing into your feet, the sensations of strength and comfort flowing into your feet. Your feet strong, steady, and relaxed. Feel the vibration, the energy of red flowing into your legs and your hips and pelvis. Feel strength and ease in the lower body. Feel the vibration of red flowing up your spine. Strength and ease in your spine. All the way from your tailbone to your skull. Strength and ease radiating out into the torso, arms, hands, fingers, into your face and head. The vibration of red flowing through the entire body and mind. And into your spirit. The feelings of strength, support, and ease in the body and in the mind. And observe how you feel now. Just observe the energy in your body, how you're feeling, how your mind feels. Take another deep breath. All right, so I always have to stretch my jaw. If you like, you can stretch your jaw. Move your fingers are just gonna wake up again. Stretch your arms up overhead. Good. Okay, guys, that was a lot. Thanks for hanging in with me. I really wanted you to have a little background. So as we move forward in these next several months, so you have some foundation of, where this stuff comes from. So I'm sorry to give you time to chat and ask questions. Feel free to do so now. I know most of you probably have to get back to work, but so I'm just going to say, so I'll hang out, but thank you for being here and sharing in this practice. Any questions or anything you want to ask me, offline somewhere, I'm open to your questions, what you're looking for. All right, I'm just gonna say namaste. Because there we go, my monkey mind was bouncing around there. Thank you all so much for being here. You guys have a good day. Thank you, namaste. All right, great, thanks everybody.
Thank you so much, Christy.
Thank you. That was fun. It was helpful to talk about for me. It's like, right? Like I feel like sometimes when you talk about stuff, it's like you can process it a little bit better. Thanks, you guys. It's a lot.
Yeah, definitely. We love this though. This is awesome.
All right, cool. I'm so excited that you came up with this. I think it's fabulous. It's so different.
Exactly. But I love like the constant connection to like movement and everything, like making it practical. It's not just this theoretical practice. Like it's a real thing, has effects in your life and everything like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, because because it really is so heady. But at the end of I should probably stop recording here.